Okay. Hi, and welcome to Heretic Clerics, the show where we talk about atheist shit because we're shit atheists. Uh, this is a special Neckbeard Nation episode, as the other two guys have decided that they don't feel like being on the show today. And so today we have me, Buck, aka Sir Jualot, from Neckbeard Nation, and we have the apoplectic atheist, aka Matt. This is a special Neckbeard.
Hey guys, how's it going?
All right, and so today we have an extra special episode where we are not going to do something that is, really broad as we would normally do. We have a specific thought because it's something us neckbeards have been thinking about for a while, and that's our buddy Bernie Sanders. And so we're going to give a little bit of background. It's not going to be about him personally as much politically. And, just sort of get into a little bit of the political situation today, and we'll yammer for a while on that. So I am going to screen share and start my slideshow. Is that up for you, Matt?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Some inside info. This is what our shows are like. Anyways, so politics. The last 8 or so years have been, on a political level, more extreme than most eras before it, in that there is very little cooperation between Democrats and Republicans in our House and Senate settings. And in society itself, it seems like that Tea Party end of the Republican Party is sprouting off and creating a whole bunch of anti-social help, pro tax lowering peoples. And with that, we have the other side that also becomes so much more extreme. And right now, that is leading to a socialist, Bernie Sanders, shooting up in the polls. And as kind of socialist leaning people ourselves, we're really happy about that. And so I am happy about it from more of a social politics angle, in that I'm for anything that limits people's religious rights and brings in more social rights, getting more First Amendment protections, things like that. Less domestic spying programs and whatnot. So that is why I like it. And as such, we're going to have fewer politicians, hopefully, in the future with such a trajectory that are boobs. Like this. Boobs. Boobs. Anyways, so we are feeling the burn here in the Neckbeard Nation part of Heretic Clerics because of those reasons. And so that is really all I am thinking about with that. So I'm just going to ask Matt to come on in and discuss what he feels about this in a more economic way.
Yeah, as you were saying, you are more concerned about the social aspects, and I'm definitely more concerned about the economic aspects. And I should preface this by saying I know very little about politics whatsoever, and I actually I'm really excited to hear what Bernie Sanders has been saying because it's the only politician I've ever agreed with, and he's kind of got me excited about learning more about it, and I want to support him. And I've tried to learn about it in the past and follow politicians, and I never really agreed with anything they were really saying, and I felt like it was just the lesser of two evils. But anyways, I am totally rooting for him based on what I've heard about his economic feelings or his ideas on economics. I guess that would tie into the socialism side of it. I don't know. You would know better than I. But anyways, to put it bluntly, I hate filthy rich people. That's about all I can say. I mean, I'm not talking about the millionaires. Like, that's fine. I hate the big CEOs of these big companies who make more money than anybody and their ancestors could ever spend in a single lifetime, while that we have starving and uneducated children rampant in our country. It makes me sick to think that these guys sit by and make $131 million a year and just let these kind of things happen. If our system worked properly, I think that these children should be taken care of. And if it's not working properly, then if I had $131 million a year, I would take it into my own hands to make sure that they are taken care of. And these rich, entitled people don't seem to be doing that, as far as I can tell. So that's where I stand. Everything I've heard from Bernie Sanders, and I should say most of my avenues for following him have been like the 99% movement, and also like unions and labor pages, and have been supporting him greatly. And we got a comment from Moose Gal saying that a lot of atheists are support. I don't know if she was saying a lot of atheists support him, but she said she follows pages such as Atheists for Bernie Sanders. So clearly there's a couple different avenues you can come in to be a fan of this gentleman. And Buck, if you want to take over, and looks like you got a website you'd like to share, you can go ahead now.
Yeah. Let's see. Do it this way. All right. So I was looking up the PolitiFact on Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton, and there is just massive differences. Like, on a lot of this stuff is positively right wing. That she was.
Oh yeah, that I saw that same thing. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I saw another one like that where it said if political or presidential candidates had to wear uniforms like NASCAR, and then it showed Hillary Clinton on the left, Bernie Sanders on the right, and Hillary Clinton was just covered in logos of companies that supported her, and Bernie Sanders didn't have any. But so that's why I touched on the lesser of two evil things. It's like they're both the same. Every presidential candidate I've ever encountered has been, pretty much the same thing up to this point. Sorry, I didn't want to sidetrack you.
No. That's a good point. As a follower of politics, I find the little differences. They're normally between the candidates of the same party, not all that significant. But in this case, you can see these are really significant differences. Opposing U.S. military intervention is an extremely important factor in a candidate. Being against the Patriot Act, being for a more fair banking system, things like that. Things on a broad scale are what I care about, and this is really, this chart here shows that on the big scale, where he's trying to raise, away from corporate funds, trying to run a campaign from a grassroots way, and trying to, just create a society that's less crappy.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. I mean, it really is a grassroots thing. And that's why I wanted to say that, how I've come across him through like the union sites on Facebook and the labor sites and stuff like that, because it's all guys like me who are just sick of being slaves to these oligarchy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so I don't know. Hopefully, I mean, I'm surprised at the support he's gotten already. Like Jen and I were looking at the polls the other day, or I don't know, she was looking at it. I don't really know what that is. You probably know better than I. But he's doing pretty good, man. I'm kind of excited. What, have you seen anything on that?
Yeah, he's been pulling around 30%.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good to me. I don't know.
No, I mean, considering it came out of nowhere, well, he didn't come out of nowhere. As I told you last week, I've known about him for at least 10 years. But
yeah. Should we get some of his history? I mean, wasn't he in New York City or something, or New York for a while, and then went to Vermont? Or, I don't know if you know better than that. But.
Well, I know that, like me, he's a cultural Jew, and so I like that. And he is I think he's an atheist. Like, I don't know if he's really come out as such, but he's very, very much a independent, and he has served as an independent senator for quite a while. And he is originally from Brooklyn. So he is from, as I would call it, a Jewville. At least it was at the time. And now he's just so super, super liberal. And see, where did he come? I think it's just always been his political career from Vermont. So that is a. And if you remember, Matt, last week, I was talking to you about the socialist political parties that we had just before World War I.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm reading here, he made a 30-minute documentary about American socialist leader and presidential candidate Eugene Debs.
He made the documentary?
He made a documentary.
Oh, wow. I got to check that out. Yeah, well, could you touch on that a little bit? Because it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Before socialism got this really bad PR from, the Cold War and the Soviets, there was a time at the beginning of the 20th century where socialism was really starting to take off. There had been a long movement of unionization leading up to that, and got to the point where we had socialist candidates, the most popular of which being Eugene Debs, running for president and getting up to, I think it was a total of 6% of the vote in 1912. And it had been quite a movement, and it was, getting stronger and stronger until it's just sort of petered out after World War I, and the whole thing with the communists there. So yeah, there is definitely a history of American socialism, and I think now that we're significantly past the Cold War mindset, we can get back to it. And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how that presents itself, because, the word socialism is taboo to many people.
Yeah, on that note, that transitions into what we were talking about off air, kind of like the whole Marxist thing and being advanced enough to be able to transition into something like that. Do you feel like touching on our position on that, going from capitalism into another system? Or
Yeah, from the Marxist perspective, which I agree with in this case particularly, but in a lot of cases, capitalism works when you don't have enough resources to supply everybody. And capitalism is the system by which people are incentivized to do more work in order to build up society so that they can, create a world with less need and with better resource distribution in order to create, eventually over time, create this classless communist society where there's no need for, people having personal gain, because, it's kind of like a Star Trek universe. You just say, computer, make me a sandwich, boom. You got the holodeck and things like that.
yeah, and that's totally what I'm hoping we go towards. And we were talking about this earlier, that like Buck and I both feel like we were born maybe 200 or 300 years too soon or too early. Like, man, it would be so awesome to live in that type of world. But we're just, I mean, you obviously know way better than I, so I'm going to defer to you on most of the stuff. But we're just not at that point yet, is what you're saying. And I just dream of it. And I hope we're at that point where we could switch over to, a real fair system, But I do see the need for capitalism. Do you think we're anywhere close to that point, at least? Or what do you think, if you had to give your best guess?
Well, I am one who believes that there will be a point in technology in about, I should say, 20 or 30 years, where it's really impossible to tell what the rate of technological growth will be after that. And as such, I think it's possible that we could end up seeing such a revolution in our time. But, it's so hard to say. Trying to get to, move up the Kardashev scale, trying to, have higher Gini coefficients, move our PPFs to as far out as they can go.
Yeah, and my understanding of the Kardashev scale is that we're at one of the most turbulent times in that scale, basically. And I think I want to bring up one thing, and that's obviously is going to be religion, because I think that's one of the biggest factors. Well, religion and pseudoscientific type, thinking and all that. I think it's really holding us back at this point, because people scared of vaccines, scared of technology, scared of, like, I know a guy who thinks the Unabomber was an awesome dude because he hates technology, and so did the Unabomber. It's like, if you think a guy who was attempting to murder all these people because he hates technology is a cool dude, why are you in our fucking modern society? You know, like I don't know.
No, exactly my thought. Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with just the infancy of the information age. So as we develop more sophisticated methods of education and promulgation, you'll have less of this currently massive structure where you have society in large proportions believing complete horseshit, and whether it's a climate denier or a flat earther, you're gonna end up with that kind of stuff when the internet is kind of in this Wild West phase, where the people who make a YouTube video about complete horseshit get the same amount of attention as someone who's actually, looked something up or has actual knowledge.
Oh, I would say they get more.
Yeah,
It's just all entertainment value now. It's
yes.
just help me escape my life. You know, it's all people want to do.
Right.
But yeah, so that's interesting. I mean, the internet is, if you look at that, that's like almost a embodiment of this phase we're going through. Like I feel like, because a lot of the learning I did, I taught myself from the internet. Like I dropped out of school and all that crap. I mean, but anyways, I taught myself almost everything I know, and I use the internet as like my sole source basically. And I don't think people understand, or they don't think that way. You know what I'm saying? Like especially a lot of conservative people, they think you have to go to school, you have to learn it that way. And if that works for people, that's great. But there's different ways, you know what I mean? And I think the more those resources are made available, the more there's going to be this shift in the way people learn and the way information gets out there. And maybe that'll be the catalyst. Well, clearly it's going to be, tied in with all technology, but yeah. So.
Oh, absolutely. And education in the future, I have to believe, is going to be more internet-based. And I think probably discussed this in our education program. Just the idea that the worry that people have with that is that they won't be socialized as well if they learn at home. And I don't know. I don't see why that's necessarily important to have people have the social interactions of the past in their particular way. I think like if we have the tools to have a new society, we should really get onto that.
Yeah. Also, you got to think about it. People who have that concern is like, they might not be socialized in the same way that they are now, but it might be a different way that could be more beneficial. Like instead of hanging out with just all these kids in a class all day, they'll be hanging out with different people. They'll be hanging out with people from their immediate community. You know what I'm saying? Like their neighbors more, or their family more, and adults more. There's still going to be playtime for kids in the area, but I don't know. I kind of felt that way for a long time. Like I kind of want my kids to be in a public school or private school or with other kids, but yeah, for the sake of advancing our society, I would find a way around that if the internet teaching would help them better,
Yeah, and my thought for sort of the advanced future on that is, you have school in sort of the holodeck. And so you have all the kids' holograms around, and you kind of talk with each other, maybe. I don't know. Huh.
So Moose Gal brings up, in reference to my talking about learning from the internet, she brings up public libraries are a great source for learning. And I completely agree. My situation growing up, I didn't have easy access to libraries. My parents couldn't drive me to libraries. So basically I'd have to walk miles, and I was deathly afraid of not returning a book or somehow damaging the book. I think it was from that Seinfeld episode where Jerry, the Tropic of Cancer or whatever, was it George? You remember that one?
Yeah, Bookman.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think libraries are awesome, but the other thing to note is they do cost money. I mean, I know the internet's not free, but everybody has the internet now. But the internet, you could find so many free resources. You don't have to go. You don't have to have your parents bring you. You don't have to do anything. It's just all at your fingertips as long as you have the internet. And with all these free TV streaming and everything, and the fact that the internet is way cheaper than cable, it's like, I don't know. But believe me, Moose Gal, I do love books, and Buck can confirm that.
Yes.
I mean, that is nothing behind me. I have probably 100 times. But anyways, my feeling on books is kind of funny. It's kind of tied into my kind of prepper mentality, which I'm not a crazy prepper. I don't have a lot of stuff stored. But I feel like if the system ever did go down, books are going to be the most valuable thing. One of the most valuable things, because we're no longer going to have the internet. We're going to have to go back to books to learn about. But anyways, whatever. You got anything on any of these subjects?
This is all very relevant to Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I know, but hey, you know.
I'm feeling the burn. I'm sure Bernie would be for all of this. So that'll be our connection.
Oh, he was a carpenter, dude. I mean, like, he's on my level, man, you know?
The Jewish carpenter.
Yeah.
He's got crazy hair. He might be the second coming. You never know. So I am going to deviate a bit here into some of the other stuff I've got. I guess my current event isn't all that helpful, seeing how it was about the original thought I had for today's show about religion and politics, but I was thinking about using that Bernie. I guess we can use that Bernie Sanders article that we found before and say that was the current event from the HCNN news desk, as we call it. So I think we can move on. Well, hey, you want to do a wheel now?
Wait, so you're not going to do the news?
Well, I thought my news was going to be up for the religion and politics thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess I can still do it if you want.
Yeah, why not?
All right, let me.
It doesn't have to be on the topic. It's just nice if it is. That's the way I feel about it. But
okay, well, you know, it was just kind of a fun little news story I found because I check for news in weird places, and if I can find this screen share again, can bring that up. All right, this is my from the HCNN news desk in Russell Township, Ohio. Here's today's Nigerian news. It's a story where governors of a couple of the states in Nigeria are defunding the Hajj. And apparently it's very common practice for Muslim countries to give out economic incentives for people to do the Hajj. And so, you know, I really just liked the idea here that people were going against that. These governors are going against that, saving a whopping load of money, however much 222 million nairas is. I'm sure it's a lot.
it's probably a quarter, U.S. quarter.
They saved 1 penny. And
that's equivalent to our money and the euro.
But you know, it's a good sign, even if it wasn't much money. Just to get religion out of the government sphere in any way, especially in a country like Nigeria that's pretty split between Christians and Muslims. There's been a lot of fighting over the years between Christians and Muslims in that area. There's really kind of a line in Africa that goes across the Sahel where Islam stops and Christianity begins. And there's a lot of countries that were placed on that line because colonial borders are complete bullshit. And you have things like South Sudan come out of it because you had a Sudanese government that liked bombing Christians, and so you have a society here that has some of that same input, and you getting hopefully a different output here. And this guy goes on to make all sorts of claims about. Where is that? That's a really cool line in here. Like, it was saying the churches should be located away from residential areas, except that they sign an agreement to respect the sanity of the other residents. I like that.
That's pretty progressive, man. Let's get that over here.
Yeah. So I really liked the article for those reasons. So let's see.
It drives me insane when these churches every Sunday, I can't drive when they're getting out of their whatever mass or whatever the hell it is, and they got policemen freaking guiding traffic. You know what I mean? Because there's so many people leaving. It drives me insane.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I think that it's complete. It's bad for the economy. Sunday should be another day on the weekend where people are doing the same stuff they do on Saturday, paying to go into parks and, movies and whatever else.
Well, what I don't get is the Sabbath is supposed to be on Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what the Jews do.
How did they just move it to Sunday? Now it's Sunday, whatever.
Well, it's weird because, in Europe, in a lot of European countries anyways, the Sunday is the last day of the week. And so it would make sense to have it on Sunday. But here, where it's not, we put the seventh day Sabbath on the first day for no apparent reason. So that's lovely of our dumbass Christians. So, all right.
So, anyways, so that was what was it, the Hajj or whatever you said?
Yeah.
That's like the Muslim pilgrimage to the Mecca or whatever. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Didn't you were telling me a story earlier about this rich guy who did the Hajj and he basically crippled economies? Did you want to, since it's kind of on topic, did you want to mention that? Or?
Oh, sure. I love a good random historical yarn. Yeah. So the guy's name was Mansa Musa. He was the king of Mali, and as such, he was a Muslim and he was incredibly rich. And during, I'm going to say, around 13th, 14th century, if I remember correctly, he was making his Hajj from Mali in the middle of West Africa to Saudi Arabia, to Mecca, to do his duty as a Muslim to make a Hajj. And along the way, he spent so much money because it was really going to be the biggest trip of his life, and he wanted to try everything and do everything along the way. And he had such a giant, amount of people with him that also needed to be clothed and fed and things like that. That the money that poured into the societies as he crossed through them actually crippled their economies through massive inflation, because he put, and this was a much more significant effect during the days of the gold standard. He put so much money into these economies that they just hyperinflated. And the problem with hyperinflation is you can't stop it. You can only replace your currency or start over. And he really messed up the Islamic world. And this was right at the end of the era of Islamic scholarship, between the collapse of the economies here and the Mongol sacks of Baghdad and regions around there. Came up with an Islamic world that had become extremely weakened, which helped set the stage for European advancement after that. And so what we were talking about there is what Matt would do if he had a shit ton of money.
Yeah, I wanted to go into this because the modern day, we got to bring up the modern day equivalent of this.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll tell it or we can go back and forth. But I was saying, if I was as rich as these CEOs who make 131 million a year, I would take, well, first of all, I would at least take 100 million of that and just give it away to poor people. And I mean, I'm pretty good with 30 million a year. I think I'll live just fine on that. But we were doing the math on how much it would cost to give $10,000 to everybody in the United States. I forget the exact, something like 3 trillion, I think. And Buck brought up the fact that, Sir Jewelot brought up the fact that if we did that, it would cause inflation, or would it be like, I don't know how bad the inflation would be. You would know better.
It wouldn't be hyperinflation like it was there, but it would cause a pretty big dip.
Yeah. So my response to that was, so what you're telling me is everybody in the world, if we gave everybody in the world $10,000 and they had a little bit of money, then we would basically destroy our economy. Like, isn't that a clear sign that your system isn't working out very well when people actually having wealth destroys the economy? You basically have to have this poor class. I don't know. It just makes me sad. But I'm sure there's a lot more intricacies to it. But I don't know. I just wanted to kind of throw that jab in there against capitalism.
I don't know if it means that. I don't know if it means the system isn't a good system necessarily, because the system is only in place because we don't have the resources to have a better system. And so, having flaws in it would be expected. And so, that's a big flaw. But, there's a ton of flaws that you really can't do much about until you reach the stage where you can have a more even distribution, or a completely even distribution. And there are countries around the world that have this kind of more equal distribution. You could have a totally equal distribution like Cuba or North Korea, and that has mixed results. Or you can have sort of a middle way, and that's sort of the socialist aspect that Bernie Sanders brings, where you run the economy the same way, but you make sure that you use the money you have to make sure no one is entirely, destitute. And so it's sort of a communism light.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what draws me to him. Is it's not a full transition into socialism or communism. It's just he's saying, let's use a system we have. From my understanding, he's saying, let's use what we have in place, but use it intelligently instead of these people who have or companies who have so much money, or you know what I mean? Like, let's redistribute it a little bit and make it more equal. I don't know. That's all. I mean, is that so bad?
Yeah, but it's good.
Yeah.
That's sort of the Danish way, or those lovely little European countries in the Scandinavia sort of area that have like people that there's always, if there's any capitalism, going to be some people that get nothing, and it's these systems that are in place to make sure that these people are taken care of, and they are. I mean, you can be an unemployed Dane and have a reasonable life.
And I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but I've seen snippets. Like the one going around now is how the U.S. has the highest level of childhood poverty out of any developed nation, and one of the best ones on that list was the Netherlands. Basically, they have the least. And I don't know what other numbers are out there, but it seems to me like they got a pretty good thing going on. But
yeah, Dutch are very good as well. So we're often last on the developed countries list and things like that. We built up a lot of shit, but we didn't really care about people. And there's a lot of misinformation about that out there. People think like, oh, we're ahead because we didn't give money to poor people and waste it, stupid shit like that. And they know we're ahead because we have an entire peaceful continent of one people that is perfectly positioned for trade and brought in a fuckload of money.
Yeah, no enemies next to us at all. No constant, strife at our front door. We've never been attacked almost ever. It's like,
yeah. No, I mean, there's that, and then we have two coasts, two warm weather coasts with ports that go straight to the economies of East Asia and the economies of Europe. And we control the seas in between with our massive navy, and that is an often overlooked importance.
And I want to say, like, people try to spin these arguments as we are anti-American. Like I feel like that's one of the first things people go to, and it's like, no. We are not the ones who are anti-American. We are the ones trying to find the problems and fix them instead of acting like there are no problems,
Yeah, like,
isn't that the best American you could be?
Yeah, my thought is anti-American would be someone who would want to, hurt America. Like someone who's actively thinking like, man, I hate that America. I'm gonna take it down and annex it to Canada. Something stupid like that.
Yeah, but people act like any critique of our system is anti-American, and it's not. It's just being realistic and rational.
And people don't really have a sense of the history of what it is to be American. For the first 120, 130 years of our existence, we were isolationist. That was being American, was not involving yourself in foreign wars.
Yeah, weren't we like dragged kicking and screaming into World War I or something?
Yes.
I heard, like, we barely joined.
Yeah. We kind of made the tail end of that. it's probably a good thing. But
well, and then I mean, people just don't understand history in the least. Like the Republican Party used to be so much. You basically used to be our Democratic Party we have
yes,
now.
yes,
I mean, how long ago was that? I don't know,
about
like
50.
50 years ago.
Yeah.
Nobody realizes this. Nobody freaking. I mean, dude, I am an idiot. I'm a welder. I work in construction, and I know this. Like, how dumb do you have to be to think that this is how it's always been, dude? You know?
Yeah.
It freaking drives me insane, man.
Yeah, it's a willful ignorance, and there's just no place for that. My thought is that people are just caught up in this whole jingoistic nonsense, and they feel like the zeitgeist is to be exceptionalist, and they just go along with that. I just the stupidity of American exceptionalism is massive. Like, yeah, do we have a giant ass military that would bomb the shit out of everybody? Sure, but what the hell kind of measuring stick is that? Why would you want to do that? So I think, if you want to be an exceptionalist, you should go by how each member of your society is treated. And if you can say that people in your society have better opportunity and better social mobility and, freedom to, do anything in any level of society, then you can claim exceptionalism. But in our current state, it's just blind military stupidity, and I can't stand that sort of opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like we're getting off track here, but I feel like all of these topics link back to Bernie Sanders. Like that. What was it? An infographic, or whatever you pulled up, where he was opposing war and whatnot. It's like all of these ideals link back to him. So if you are in any way progressive or liberal leaning or whatever, like, look into this guy, because he's our Lord and Savior. I mean, as far as I can see, I mean, he's the only person that's ever got me excited about politics. Just the stuff he says, whether he follows through with these things or not, the fact that he is actually saying these things in a public capacity just blows me away. I haven't heard anybody say things like this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he's actually drawing people in, dude. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that there's a lot of people out there who are so indignant at the current state of wealth gap that they're letting go of the socialist stigma and are willing to listen to new ideas. And that's always an excellent sign. And so, as my duty this week as the host of the show, I will now have the apoplectic atheist spin the wheel of destiny. Here comes the wheel. It's all destiny-ish.
Do you want to make any predictions?
I'm going to say that this week's is from Numbers.
All right.
All right. The weekly scripture in the mouth.
Hopefully anybody's left, dude. I think we might have chased everybody off with our
yes.
But, all right. At least there was a show this week, man.
Yeah, those other shits. Show.
No, it's Deuteronomy. All right.
Oh, I was gonna say Deuteronomy.
I know. All right, here we go. He that is wounded in the stones. Oh, this is a good one. He that is wounded in the stones, or hath his privy member cut off, shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. So if your franken beans are in any way damaged or cut off, if your frank is cut off and your beans are in any way damaged, you're not allowed to enter the congregation of the Lord. You cannot go to heaven. You do not pass go, and you do not collect $200.
Oh, see, what I got out of that is like you weren't allowed to enter the temple if your nuts were hurt or your dick was cut off.
Yeah.
I think that's what it said. So my
Well,
thought,
I mean, if you can't go into the congregation, it can't. I mean, how are you? It's going to be kind of hard to get into heaven if you can't even learn. And well, I don't know. I guess it'd just be harder. Yeah.
yeah, like, but my thought was like, dang, I don't want to go to synagogue this week. Oh, there's the rabbi. I'm just going to kick him in the nuts, and then he can't enter, and then we won't have services.
Or you could just cut your penis off, then you wouldn't have to go, or punch yourself in the nuts.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's a more of a permanent solution. If you just cut your dick off, then you never have to go.
Oh my god! I think there's other translations that say like you can't get into heaven, or not that, but basically says like you can't. Basically, in a, I don't know. I'm probably wrong.
I suppose.
So do they have like check you at the door, like make sure your bits are intact, or is it an honor system, or how does that work?
All right, everybody, drop your fly. It's penis check time. Before you come in to pray, we must make sure you have a circumcised penis.
So Deuteronomy's Old Testament, right? I'm guessing. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I want to get some good New Testament crazy shit.
Yeah, because you have a lot of old, and the old is crazier because it's really, really old.
There is some New Testament in there. It's just, you know what I mean? The amount of Old Testament is highly...
Yeah, mostly because of Leviticus. But yeah. So now I was wondering if you had an atheist spotlight you wanted to do.
Yes, I do. Here, I'll share a link with you if you can post that for me. So the atheist spotlight this week, I'm taking up the reins on this, is going to be the Irreligiosity podcast. It's a mouthful to say. It starts with an I and sounds like Irreligiosity if you're going to look it up. I've been following this podcast for a long time. It kind of had a falling out for a couple months. One of the other hosts kind of was a D-bag. It was around the same time as the elevator gate scandal thing, and if that, just give it a time frame. But anyways, they were back up and going within a couple months, I think, and I think the show is, I want to say it's way better now, but I might just be biased. But I really love the new co-host, Matt, not just because he shares the same name as me. They're really funny. They're really intelligent. Chuck is a doctor. I believe he works in a hospital, but I'm not sure. But he's a really intelligent guy, and he's kind of a little more of like the straight guy, and Matt is more of the kind of silly one, I would say. But they both get a little silly. Anyways, they come a bit from the Mormon background, so they've been doing a little bit more on the Mormonist stuff lately. It's been pretty educational. Like I learned about the Mormon massacre that occurred. I think you know about it. They're Sir Jew-Lot.
Yeah. The Mormon massacre. There was freaking. It was the ones where it was like a wagon train passing through their territory, and for some reason they didn't like them. Yeah, and they killed everybody, even the children. Yeah. And I think all that survived was like one 10-year-old girl or something. And they dressed like Indians and tried to blame it on the Indians, and the girl told stories of watching her siblings and parents having their heads smashed in and right in front of her. Oh my God, it was horrific. But it should be said that Mormons rarely do that these days.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I could have 10 wives, I wouldn't really
attack wagon trains.
Yeah. and dress up like Native Americans. Yeah.
Well, and Mormons also got massacred a lot.
Yeah.
Pretty common in like Missouri in the 1830s.
I think the story behind it was a miscommunication from their higher up. Like he had sent a message to like just kind of hold up the wagon train, but not slaughter them. And they kind of used a little bit of slang or something. And it was like this game of telephone. By the time the message got there, they're like, all right, he wants us to kill them all. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there are things about them that weren't miscommunications that were terrible as well.
Yeah.
Like black people were worse than everybody. Yeah. Things like that.
But as we tend to do, we're getting off subject. But yeah, it's about irreligiosity. And the reason why I brought up the little hiatus they had was because I really want you guys, if you do enjoy them, to show them support so that kind of thing doesn't happen again. Just let them know that we enjoy the show and hope they keep going.
I do hope that they keep going.
You would really like it, Sergio. I know you said, I don't know how many you listen to, but they do the segment every week called the Skunk Dick of the Week, where they just, I think it started by them finding like the most offensive title they could give somebody, and they thought they came up with Skunk Dick. So like religious people who do something, exceptionally skunk dickish during the week get nominated, and they choose who the worst person during the week was. But,
cool. Every week it's Josh Firestein, I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure he's not. What's the guy from 700 Club? He is on there almost every single
Robertson,
time.
I'm sure is on there a lot.
He's on there every single week, I'd have to say. But
fuck. No, it's like what Secular Yakking does with their
the Potter Award. Yeah.
Hey, maybe we could add that to our show.
No, man, we got the wheel. No one else has a wheel, dude. We got our gimmick, all right?
The fucker of the week. Anywho, we actually filled our entire time.
I know.
I am floored.
It was our tangents,
do it
man.
With all four of us last week, but we just keep on talking. We don't let good conversation and staying on topic get in the way. We fill our time.
Yeah.
So hopefully next week we will have the Iron Chariot and perhaps a new apartment or something getting back.
Oh yeah, you should probably let people know Iron Chariot's having a little bit of a tough time right now. If you guys want to send him some love, find him on Twitter and just give him some support. He's trying to find a new place to stay right now. We don't know all the details, but you know what I mean? Any kind of support you guys can give him would be great.
Yeah, who kicks out a cripple? I mean, geez.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to kind of, guess as to what happened, but hopefully... I
will guess as to what happened.
We'll have to wait for him to come back.
As to what happens. So there's that, but really what we should concentrate on here is BA's lame-ass excuse for not coming.
I'll leave that up to you. He's the boss, man. We can't piss off the boss, all right?
BA's tired. He can't do the show. He drove a lot yesterday, so now he's tired.
Dude, he did the Kessel run in 3 parsecs, dude. Come on.
You freaking drove from Syracuse to my house, unloaded a van full of cargo, and drove back to Syracuse and did the show from your fucking cell phone. And this guy's like, I drove a lot yesterday. I'm tired.
No, he unloaded a bigger van, dude. That's what happened. All right.
No, I'm just going to continue to make dumb sounds as BA. So he was going,
all right, BA, this is all Sergio doing this, right? You see, I have no part in this. I was sticking up for you.
I was not sticking up for you. Anyways, we're sure that we'll get those guys back as soon as possible, and they will make this job much, much easier for me. And that's really what it's all about. And as we've filled our whole hour, we are going to wrap it up here. So from Sir Juelant, you will now receive a good night. And from Double A as well.